Hi guys, I'm Hannah.
I'm Sadie.
And we're not straight. And today I'm going to tell my coming out story. Ooh. Like parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There are multiple parts.
Yeah, over the course of I don't know, 7 years and counting, I've been coming out to people. So I'll start at the beginning. At the end of high school, I spent a summer working really closely alongside a group of people, and me and this other woman became really close friends. And the kind of friendship where it's instant and you tell each other everything and you spend all of your time together. And at the end of the summer, I remember being at this party that she was not at and telling my two friends who were older than me and dating one another, they were both females, that I thought maybe there was something more to the friendship, but wasn't sure and didn't know if I even wanted to act on it either. But it was the first time I had admitted that to anyone, which is kind of funny because they were acquaintances, but they are lesbian, so it felt...
Safe place to tell people.
Yes, exactly. And this is on a bathroom floor, I might add. Anyway, they were like, yes, go for it, it'll be great. And me, future bisexual, was I don't even know, I am interested in men though, so I don't know where to put this, emotion. So I kind of tabled it, did nothing about it, classic, super productive, and moved across the country for college. So flew out of Seattle and ended up elsewhere for 5 years, which when you're not spending every day with that person anymore, kind of pushes it to the back burner in your brain. And when I went back home after that first year at school, I had spent the summer with some of my other friends and childhood friends, and this person that I had been best friends with kind of ended our friendship rather abruptly, which was when I realized that it was more than a friendship, probably. And I don't know if I would call it a relationship or what, because we were never intimate. Mm-hmm. And of course, it doesn't count if you didn't make out, right? So, but when I went back to school, I told my college friends that I realized she was an ex, she was an ex-girlfriend, my first female love that was never even acted on. So it was kind of this funny half coming out. Mm-hmm. To which, of course, they laughed and didn't believe me. So, or believed me and didn't take me seriously, maybe. And I helped matters by then falling in love with a man, immediately thereafter. So, sophomore year in college, and most of my friends know about my ex-girlfriend. But now I'm with this guy who I'm super into, and we date through the whole rest of college, and so it's just become a running joke. My sexuality was just a running joke.
It's a good thing for it to be.
I know, and looking back, I don't know, maybe that was a good thing because it helped bring levity to something that could have been really scary.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, it was on the table at least,
yeah,
rather than being suppressed.
Yes, true. And I remember thinking that if I spent the rest of my life with him, then I would never know what it was like to kiss a woman that I was into, and thinking that was kind of a loss, I guess. But again, being bisexual, you don't really know where to place it, so it was well, if this is what I have to do, if I'm really into him, then so be it, I guess. But fast forward, I graduate, move back across the country, and he moved as well. He moved here. And we had kind of been having a rough year, I guess. His job was super intense, and I had started working for Amazon, and it was really kind of a stressful year for both of us, and it kind of wasn't working all that well anymore. And Sadie and I became really close when I moved back. And we had met years before, but didn't know each other all that well until I graduated and moved back, and we worked together. And so Sadie became my confidant and best friend, I would say. It was so fun. It was was so fun. And she was in a relationship too, and we would have like boy talk, which like every night, like clockwork, which is so funny now. But it would be like, what do you want to talk about?
Boys.
Boys. And we did that for like a whole summer, which is so funny. But anyway, by the end of my second year being home, I've thought about maybe needing to end my relationship. And Sadie comes to me and says that she might not be straight, and that she's thinking of ending her relationship. And so I realized that if I have any part of me that feels like I might want to be with her, I should honor that, and I should honor this 5 years that I've spent with someone else by not kind of muddying the two. So I decided to end my relationship with him before I really thought about being with Sadie. And so I ended it, and it was really hard, and it was really emotional, and I flew to New York to visit my sister like 2 days after, and it was like jet lag plus emotions plus like heartbreak, and like then not even being sure what the future looked like, because I thought maybe I would be interested in Sadie, but I didn't know yet. And she was also working through her relationship, so I didn't even know if it would be like possible, let alone like something that I could let myself feel hopeful about, I guess. So while I'm in New York, I tell my siblings, and they're like, that's a lot, how are you doing? And I think it was made easier by kind of the drama of it all, because it wasn't just about, I might not be straight, you guys. It was like, this is what's happening in all these people's lives, and no one knows what to do, and I'm really panicked, and I can't sleep, and I can't eat. And we weren't really talking at the time to try to like work through all of this on our own first. So it was a mess.
Mess is a pretty good way to describe it.
So I ask my mom, or I tell my dad in New York that I've broken up with my boyfriend, but neglect to tell him the other half of the story. I was a little bit nervous about telling him, and so I ended up calling him later instead of telling him in person. And even he was pretty sad about the breakup with the boyfriend. He was an engineer. He was awesome. He was probably like my dad's, like, I don't know. He was like all excited that I would end up with him, so then it was already enough news for him to just give that part. But anyway, I ask if my mom can pick me up from the airport when I'm flying home. And I tell her that I have news, and she's like, great, I'll come get you. And it's like 4 a.m, I should add. So I'm like, now's the time. I'm already
It's time to
like lay on a bomb of information. So she picks me up, I'm in the car, I'm nervous, I'm tired, and I just start by saying like, Sadie's maybe not going to be in her relationship anymore, and I also am not in mine anymore, and we might end up together, but I'm not really sure, and I also don't think I'm straight. And she was like, oh, okay. Well, you girls have always been so close. And I was like, what? Like, that's what you're...
She was so surprised.
It was like a non-event. And to make it even more, like, absurd, she follows up with, oh, wait, was that the news? It's like...
I thought it was news,
I
but
thought
maybe
it,
not.
Yeah, maybe it's not that exciting to everyone, but my life is upside down, so cool, Mom. She probably knew, like, since the very first close friendship in high school, like, she'd probably known for 5 years.
I think moms always
Moms
know. They just
God,
know.
They just know. So, non-event with my mom. The rest of my family, I grew up in a huge Catholic family. It's super close-knit, even though there are about 60 people in it. They're all fantastic, and we have, like, big family gatherings where everyone's invited. And so then, when we started dating, I had to come out to them, like, that Thanksgiving when I brought Sadie. And so I told them in the family email chain, this is like 60 people in an email chain, and I say, I'm like, why not just email everyone? It's more efficient, right? And it'll maybe give them a little bit of a warning instead of just showing up with Sadie at the event and then expecting them to like put on a kind reaction.
Yeah,
then.
not be like surprised and like
Yeah.
kind of like shocked.
Like blindsided, I guess. I don't know. I was trying.
I mean, you were in a relationship with someone for 5 years prior
Yes.
to that, so I think it would have been, regardless of like
Yeah.
who I was, to not be that same person would have been shocking
Yeah.
if you hadn't given them a heads up.
Right. So I'm thinking, courtesy, I'll email them that I'm going to bring my girlfriend Sadie. That's the phrase that I used to Thanksgiving. And it was like immediately like brushed past. Like it was the most non-event in an
No
email
one said
chain.
anything.
No one said anything. They were like, great, sounds good. And I'm like, wow, everyone took that very well. Turns out no one knew. Everyone saw girlfriend Sadie, and apparently the older generation doesn't see the word girlfriend as
Romantic
romantic.
partner between two women, it's like friend who's a girl.
Yes, if you're a woman.
Yes, which I've heard a lot of people, like I've heard like my like mom and my aunt like say that a lot, like my girl going for like my
Lunch with my girlfriends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a weekend with my girlfriends, or like
Yeah.
I'm going out to lunch with a girlfriend or whatever.
But
So
what-
it's like I think it's pretty. It was a lot more common
Mm-hmm.
prior to us. And
But what was I supposed to say? Like, I'm bringing my romantic partner who's a woman named Sadie. Like, that would have been super weird.
I wish you would have said that. I feel like if we could go back in time,
That
and
would
we
be the
could
new
rewrite
age.
the email. That would be hilarious.
Anyway, I said girlfriend, which my bad. So then, but my mom has told her brother about what's going on. So like part of
What's
the
going on?
family knows and part of the family has made other assumptions. So then all behind the scenes, unbeknownst to me, they're having conversations with each other. So like my aunt and my uncle were talking, two different siblings of my mom, and the aunt had talked about like the friend Sadie that was coming, and the uncle responded like, she's gay, and the aunt was like, oh, I knew that, of course. So then
Tried to really smooth it over.
Jesus, so from like 0 to 60, I go from being straight to immediately gay, and we just skip over bisexual entirely. So we've like we've overshot bisexuality and then erased it. Miscategorized in like one fell swoop. Which is fine. I'm kind of used to people just assuming that I'm lesbian now that we're dating.
I think that happens so much
Mhm.
where if you're bi and you say that, people kind of just assume that you are, if you're a woman and you say you're bi and you're with a man, they assume you're straight. And
Mhm.
if you're, which is what happened to you before.
Mhm.
And if you are a woman and you're with a woman and you say you're bi, they think, oh, she's lesbian.
Yeah. So weird and frustrating and hard to combat because it's, I don't know. I can say like, yeah, but I dated a man before, and they're like, we're so glad that you found yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I already
knew.
I already knew. And it's not like I was lost before. Like,
Right.
I don't regret that relationship, and super weird. So bring her to Thanksgiving, and then the whole family realizes what's going on one way or another.
We were dating. That's
We
what
were
was going
dating.
on.
That's what was going on. And then I have to like one by one tell all of my college friends again because they've all forgotten or dismissed the fact that I was bi in the first place. So then it's like a coming out on the phone because I'm in Seattle and they're still in Boston. And most of them were like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, we thought you were joking. I'm like, well, I wasn't, and I'm not now. And they're like, great. So in the end, everyone was supportive. It was just very confusing.
Yeah. I think it's been, like, we've had a really positive experience with your family, and everything
Yes.
you've shared with me about your family has been, like, very supportive, very positive. Like, they've been super welcoming to me.
They love Sadie. Like, they love her. She's so fun and easy to be around already. But they knew, and my relationship with my ex-boyfriend had kind of been fading, and that wasn't like not visible to them. Like, I'm very close with my siblings, and they could tell that it had been hard, and I wasn't necessarily happy near the end of my relationship. So then when I started showing up to things with Sadie, they were like, you are a different person. Like, you are like lit up, you are smiling, you're happy again. And if Sadie's the person who does that, like, we love Sadie, like, no questions asked, which was really special, I think.
Super cool of them.
Yeah. So shout out to the fam, you guys are great.
One more thing. Your roommate?
Oh my gosh.
Can I tell this one from my perspective? Okay. So, Hannah lived with an old friend for a while, and when that friend moved out, she got a new roommate, and just because of jobs and like where people were, they ended up not crossing paths for like 2 weeks. They didn't see each other after this new roommate had moved in, and they had exchanged some like emails, messages, and this new roommate had introduced herself. It was kind of like a friend of a coworker, a friend of a friend of a coworker, and so they didn't know each other at all. So it was kind of like this is how I usually am at home. These are my like tendencies. Like, this is when I'm home. This is when I like do these things, whatever. Just to give a quick intro. And Hannah explained that she, you know, like, her routine was very predictable. Like, she had been dating this guy for like 5 years, and she like is often, you know, like work, home, like pretty consistent, not around a lot, hangs out with him a lot. And right after she had said that was when kind of everything blew up. Everything like kind of exploded. So like a bomb was like thrown into your routine and everything. And so fast forward maybe like a month and a half or so, and I come over for the first time, and the new roommate is sitting in the living room, and Hannah and I walk in and say hi, and I walk in, go to the bathroom, and Hannah is, or I walk down the hallway to go to the bathroom, and Hannah says like, hey, how's it going? You know, they're having a little conversation.
And I had talked a big game for this. Like, this was the day of our first date, that fancy restaurant date that I was telling you about. Yeah. And I had told Sadie, like, I'm just gonna tell her. It's good for it to just be on the table. It'll be fine. I'll just like
put it out there,
right? I'm feeling like confident. So I'm talking to her, and Sadie has walked around the corner, and I'm like stalling, clearly.
So then I stop, and I'm like, I thought you were just gonna tell her.
I can just see her face.
So I just turn around, and I'm like,
she's giving me one of those, and I'm like, oh God.
So Hannah just says, the roommate says like, oh, what are you guys doing? And Hannah goes, we're going to dinner. We're dating. And the roommate just goes, oh.
And then I run.
And then Hannah just like about face and like booked it down the hallway.
Because that's a normal way to interact with someone that you met like 2 weeks ago or whatever, a month ago. Like, we do not know each other, and I'm like, we're dating. And I run away. And
I'm standing there, and I'm like, how did it go? And she goes, it was bad.
I'm like head on the bed, just like face down. Like,
what happened?
That was the worst.
She didn't take it well. And I'm like, what? Tell me what happened. She's like, she just said, oh. I was like, well, I think she deserves a bit of credit, having not one bit of heads up that you, A, broke up with your boyfriend, and B, have been going through this like incredibly tumultuous time.
Yes. And so then backstory, I talked to her again later, and she was like, I was very confused. I reread all of our messages to make sure that I hadn't like misread something.
She was very gracious.
She was so gracious. Like, yeah. I know, I felt awful. I was like, I really dumped that on you, and I'm sorry.
So funny. Yeah.
So charming. Everyone was like trying to do the right thing, and it was just a lot of information.
A lot of information.
So anyway, yeah, that's it for me. That's the coming out story. Now you know.
More to come.
More to come. Yeah. If you like this video, Hit the like button.
Yeah. Subscribe so you can get the notifications when we post a new one. We'll have new stuff. My side of the story coming soon.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And comment with any of your like most dramatic, I don't know.
Yeah, if
pieces.
anybody has like funny coming out stories, I would love to read them.
Please. Please.
I would love to hear about it. Any roommates that you just drop an information bomb on without any warning, let us know in the comments.
Okay.
Cool. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.